Awesome. Welcome everybody to our next session, Powering North America Literally. So this session is going to be run by Jennifer Gray and Adrian Sauceda of the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers. They have been part of the build process for Action Builder from the time it was just an idea, and really helping co-develop this tool so that it really works in all of the organizing contexts that you're going to hear about today, and then even more organizing contexts that you can read about in the future. So we really appreciate them sharing their experience, not just using the tool and being part of the development process, but also what that transition was like, going from not using Action Builder to actually using Action Builder in the field, rolling it out to their organizers, their staff around the country. So without further ado, I'll kick it over to Adrian.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for being here with me and my tool buddy, Jennifer. We're going to walk you through, like what Martha said, a little bit of how we use it. And it turned from us trying to help create a tool that we needed into something that we're using on a daily basis. So I'm going to share my screen here, get started. So we rolled it out to our membership development crew a couple years ago after we started working with Martha for quite a while, developing something that came from people on this call might have used it already, the Labor Action Network minivan type stuff, which was a really cool idea, and it does great for political, but we needed something more for organizers, more for labor organizing, working people, to where it's all about where they're employed at, better benefits, better pay, the strength of a union. So we were excited to help Martha and her team build this tool. And you see here, this picture here kind of shows a little bit of everything, right? You got the person holding the phone. Behind it, you have the paper map, notepads, stuff like that. So that's kind of how we were transitioning from the old paper maps, house calling, visiting jobs, contractors, and work sites, stuff like that, to now it's in the power of our phone, which everybody has, right? So every affiliate has their own instance, IBEW instance. Our people have taken it and ran with it, as we're about to show. So we're going to talk about real quick about organizing before Action Builder. So if you look at this was at my old union hall when I was in Houston, and you can't really see, but the map there on the left was a map from when I was still there from years back. And there, I see it's still in use. It's still up. It's probably not being used because when I was there, I had a bunch of pins all over the map, and the different colored pins and these little pins with the flag on it represented different things, different job sites, union job sites versus non-union job sites, a contractor we were targeting versus contractor with just a regular non-union contractor. Everything was on the wall. Everything was visual. It's all great to see visual, but it was all still time consuming on a huge map across my wall. The next picture is what we call the war room. And that's still there at my old union hall. And you see that this was the type of stuff we had, 3300 Main. That's a non-union job. We're keeping track. It looks like they were keeping track of Trio Electric there. And they have a list of employees at that one job site. Some of you may still do this. It's practical, you can see it, but we're going to show you hopefully a better way. But this is how we did it. We actually had Post-it notes with their names. I know you can't really see it, but sometimes we have like, this guy's a lead man, this guy's a foreman, this guy's the superintendent for the job. And we do that job by job by job. So this war room has the dry erase boards from floor to ceiling. And so we can go in there and just start writing on anything we want. Kind of the old school way, keeping track of job sites. And if you look at the picture on the left again, you see all of those binders. All of those binders contain job permits, maps to the job sites. They contain electricians, because we're the electricians union. They have electricians, masters, non-union shops, everything in paper form, everything in huge binders and folders. And if I wanted to look up Trio Electric or XYZ Electric, I would go to my binder that's labeled XYZ Electric, pull it out, and start flipping through my papers. not a very efficient way to share information, not a very efficient way to keep track of information. I know some people have moved on to Excel spreadsheets, and you may think you're doing it very efficient. I have pivot tables on my Excel spreadsheets. I have this and that. That's great, but let me show you what you still have to do if you're doing the paper forms. I'm going to talk about Baltimore Gas and Electric, and if you see that picture on the left, our lead organizer, Linda Wenzel out there, Baltimore Gas and Electric was just real quick, it was over 1,400 workers, 1,418 to be exact. That campaign that we won back in 2017. Of course, that was a little bit before we had Action Builder. We had over 100 organizers come into Baltimore to help for the final push on the election, before the election day, and for the GOTV, to help these workers win their union, and they won. But this is logistically what we had to go through while we were doing this campaign. Our SOC, Linda Wenzel, this was her room. She had a double bedroom. That's 1,200 pieces of paper spread across her bed, because you had all these organizers come in, volunteers and organizers from across the country come in and help. And they all needed maps cut for house calling. They all needed maps cut for doing job site visits. We were talking to them as they're coming into work in the morning and seeing them as they're going and handing out flyers, meeting with workers. They all needed maps, right? They all needed a script. I know you can't see it, but if you were to zoom in on that, some of those are house calling scripts, and it has the actual paper with the questions that we wanted organizers to ask them. And then when they left, they would fill it out. Well, when they fill it out, what do? They come back to the hotel, they give it to Linda, and Linda now has to log in all of this information into her spreadsheets that she had with all these workers, all the different work sites. People that were not home got put in a different pile. People, if we were phone banking, they got put in a different pile that were wrong number, left message, sent text, something like that. So this was her keeping track of her campaign at a very busy time. And she was staying up till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning to get stuff ready, get packets ready for the next day when we would go right back out and meet with workers. And you see the one on the right, we were starting so early in the morning, we were going out to the service centers as these workers were coming in all around Baltimore to the different service centers to talk to them as they drove into the job site, to meet with them, answer their questions if they wanted, and basically show our solidarity. It was just logistical nightmare having everything to transfer into spreadsheets or into your database. Jen?
Thank you. I just wanted to touch on what nightmare internal organizing and campaigns were prior to Action Builder rolling out. For those that are participating in this session, could be aware that when the Janus decision came out that essentially made every public sector property an open shop and right to work, we had to get our hands dirty and come up with a customized plan for organizing, members, maintaining membership. We went through many rounds of having folks sign up, new authorization for membership applications. And that was a very surgical procedure. In fact, there's the I'm in toolkit that was created in preparation of that decision and was implemented. And so that basically contained 4 different phases in that organizing plan. And like I said, it was very surgical. So we would bring in volunteer organizing committees across various local unions across the country, train them, put your big Post-it sheets up on the wall and start going through name by name, creating assignments, passing off folders and lists, for your VOC members to have those conversations and get signups. And it was very logistically difficult, so you had to maintain your spreadsheet, go in and update. Oh, did I save a new version? Is this the latest version? And like Adrian mentioned, when you have folks out there, scribbling their handwriting and making notes in a folder, you're having to now spend the time to put that somewhere in your Excel sheet. So I have that little list of folders as well. So it just kind of showed you like how hard it was to kind of keep track of that. And so Action Builder has really made everything seamless in regards to internal campaigns as well. And if Adrian takes me to my next slide. Thank you. We just wanted to kind of go into more specifically exactly what we use Action Builder for at IBEW. So it's a variety of reasons. It's our electrician lineman blitzes, contractor blitzes, internal and external organizing, any kind of membership engagement campaigns. Maybe you're doing bargaining surveys. This is a really great way to keep track of that information, and multi-jurisdictional coordinated efforts, where we have another platform and instance that could also be multi-union or multi-jurisdictional across IBEW districts. So we're working a lot smarter and getting access to everybody to assist. And on our next slide, as far as the rollout went, like Adrian mentioned, we rolled out to our membership development team in March of 2019. And we really tried to get the word out everywhere we can. We have district progress meetings that take place on an annual basis. We have branch specific conferences that take place, manufacturing, utility, telecom, et cetera, and various meetings. And again, in every opportunity arena, we really tried to share the value of Action Builder. Our membership development conference, that's an annual conference. We have facilitated specific workshops on it as well. And then we have provided individualized local union trainings, because we want to make sure we are essentially kind of holding folks' hands, because it's new technology. So oftentimes people are wary of that. So we really want to have one-on-one conversations, make sure, we clarify any concerns that they have on just even the data, the platform, from A to Z. We are there every step of the way and offer, and always explain it's completely customizable. So your responses within Action Builder are definitely customizable. So just really getting folks to understand, big picture, that we can make it work any way they can. And we have, as we've developed the Action Builder program with the team. And then Zoom trainings, obviously, with the pandemic, I think it's allowed us to reach additional audiences because of the pandemic that we may not have been able to. So doing a lot of that screen sharing has been really good over the last 16 months or so in sharing this tool. And the next slide, we always kind of share, the different user access, because that oftentimes is a concern. You want to make sure you're giving the right people the right amount of access to the campaign. So this is just a quick snapshot that anybody can see, within the support section of the Action Builder tool. Makes it pretty clear and simple on what you can give folks access to, and you can even limit access to information based on certain kind of tags that you identify people with, whether that's like a specific department or classification, which folks obviously may want to do. So they're limiting, folks talking to only workers in their specific work site, for example. So that's just a little shot there. These are some Excel templates that we have put together. So like I mentioned, when we are doing the one-on-one trainings with the local unions, we tell them exactly, how we basically need this data to get input into Action Builder. And again, one template that one local union might use could be completely different from the next. Some folks may not be wanting to upload specific shift hours. Some folks may want to capture issues. Some may want to capture, wages, wage rates. So we completely send them, exactly what they need. And that's just a quick little example of some of those shots. And then here is just the wall chart view within Action Builder. We created a demo campaign. So anytime we are training new local unions or organizers, this gives them the ability to really feel the tool out and go in, make assessments for folks, add new records into Action Builder, create assignments for folks, update email addresses or personal information, because obviously there's folks that are concerned if they, give access to somebody else that they might, mess up their campaign. But here you can really see how easy it is to use and seamless and, no concerns of messing up your own data. So we found that the practice environment has been really great in rolling out the tool. And then, even if we have one local union that is willing to give us a bargaining unit list, we show them their information, we let them play in this, and once they see one bargaining unit info in here, they're definitely willing and wanting to set up additional units. So it's really great for that. We have a couple other shots. Again, this is just a worker profile. So if you were to click into one of those individual names within that wall chart view, you can see this is more information you would see on an individual. So phone numbers, emails, addresses, there's little sub tabs on there. So you can click on any other info that we might have tagged these folks with. You can include, birth dates, preferred languages, seniority dates. There is a section for free-form notes, although we tried to train folks not to use those free-form notes if possible, because the beauty of Action Builder is really being able to get a quick glance or quick review of your numbers and your support. And you can really do that by filtering specific tags or data within that info subsection.
So I'm going to talk about one of the cool features that really sold our group. I may not have mentioned in the beginning, but I handle with IBEW, I handle the construction side. I help with the construction side of organizing, and Jen is with the P&I, which is P&I encompasses everything not dealing with construction or linemen. So one of the cool features that our construction branch really loves about Action Builder is the geocode. Of course, we all have this in our pocket, right? We all have this in our console of our vehicle when we're out and about, or on the dashboard when we're out and about. So Action Builder takes the functionality of your phone. Not only is it easy to read in your phone when you're out in the field talking to workers, but for our construction crews, when they see job sites, they want to start tracking job sites. It's easy for them to enter that job site and use it might be hard to see here, but under this, that little blue button that says use my location under update geocode, that just utilizes your phone's GPS and it drops a pin, and you can keep right on going to whether it's job blitzing, house calling, or whatever you were doing. You can keep right on going. I'll get in more to this a little bit this afternoon when Jen and I do a little bit more with this. We'll actually show you how to do this, but this is just a really cool feature that was built into Action Builder that has just taken off with our construction crews, our construction organizers. This is the map view of job sites. So when we're out keeping track of non-union job sites, we can view them in the maps, go back and visit them. Same thing with electricians or employees, whether they're construction or P&I, professional industrial with Jen's crew. We can see where they're at. We can see the contractors. We can see the job sites, stuff like that. It's very simple to use. And you don't have to give people maps like what in that earlier picture I showed of that shot of Linda's room, where she has just her bed, half of her room is full of papers and maps and scripts. This is all in your phone. This is all that stuff that was all spread out and about all over her bed is all in her phone. And then when the people are coming back from organizing, from house calling, doing whatever, they're entering everything into the phone. So it's updated real time. They don't hand anything back to us or to Linda or to whoever's running that campaign and say, here you go, fill it into the spreadsheet, your big database. It's already in there. It's updated in there because they input all the stuff in their phone and it's updating real time. So here, some house call and Blitz preparation. This all goes back to the old school way versus what we're doing now. House call and Blitz preparation now is just basically you're creating a task in Action Builder, and it's all done on your computer or on your phone with just a few simple steps. You can send somebody their turf. Google will write it for you. I'm going to show you on the next slide, but Google will write it for you. You just create the turf of what you want. You can filter by anything you want, whether it's classification, shifts, work sites, contractors, whatever your particular database of employees is, or whatever your targets are. You can filter it down and say, I'm going to create a task and give myself a turf and go out and do that. Where before, Linda was in the front of the computer, pulling up different maps, printing stuff out, getting all the different addresses, and somebody gets a big packet. Now that big packet is condensed down to your phone, easy to use, without all the 2 hours worth of prep work ahead of time. Sometimes even more than 2 hours. Sometimes it's depending on like the BGE campaign that we won, which was in no small part to Linda, doing all this for all day long. This makes it super simple and efficient to do. This is just an example, a quick example of the mobile view of like a turf that we've cut. You can see that you have your list of targets there listed, and that little, I don't know how hard it is, but that little button says open in Google Maps. This is tied to Google Maps. So when I have my turf of 10 targets, 15 targets, whatever it is, when I have my turf, I can route that out, open up Google Maps. Now Google is telling me turn-by-turn directions on how to go instead of me flipping back and forth with printed maps like we used to do. That's a huge step in the right direction. Here's a few more screenshots of what it looks like on your phone. And we're showcasing the phone because that's what we're using most of the time, right? Some of the leads are here in front of their computer. They're doing stuff on their laptop. They're coordinating different databases, filtering stuff. But most of the time, we're in the field, driving around, hitting job sites, house calling, meeting with people. And we just want to give you a feel of what it looks like on your phone. Very mobile friendly. There's no app, so it's very mobile friendly. The Action Builder team made it mobile friendly from the ground up because we know, everybody knows this is what we're mainly going to use, right? Is our phone. So we wanted the functionality to be almost exactly the same on your phone as it is sitting in front of my desk right here on the computer, trying to cut a turf, trying to enter information, trying to give somebody a new assessment. We wanted it to be as much the same as possible. And you see it looks almost the same. So now we're going to filtering the list. Quick shot of that. All the data that you have in your Excel spreadsheet, for example, you can filter it by just show me journeyman or just show me people in B shift or C shift. You can do the same thing here in Action Builder, filter for whatever you want. The infinite possibilities, depending on how many tags you have in there and what specifics are related to your campaign, you can filter for everything to show you exactly what you're looking for. And this is a good gauge of where your campaign is. Are we hot? Are we cold? Where do we need more support at? We need more support at this job site out here. You can filter all your data that way to where you're more efficient, to where you're targeting your efforts to where the efforts are needed to be targeted, right? Instead of trying to analyze a big spreadsheet or have a big wall like I showed earlier with all the Post-it notes saying, oh, we know 8 of those workers out of 30 on that job. We really need to go hit that job. You can see it all right here just by a few different clicks, filtering this query tool that Action Builder has built for us. It's extremely easy to use, and it makes organizing that much better because you can focus your efforts very quickly on where you or your organizers need to go and where you need shoring up in your campaign or your targets. This also helps with the, as far as targeting where your organizers need to go. This is the activity stream. The activity stream kind of does keep track of what organizers are doing, what I'm doing. If I'm inputting information and I'm adding a person or I'm adding some notes to somebody, changing assessments, it's keeping track of everything that we're doing. So in case I ever have a question of who's that guy I talked to yesterday, I can go back to my activity and look and figure out who I talked to. This is also, of course, we all know when we do a big blitz, whether it's phone banking, job site with work site visits, or house calling employees or people, we always have a debrief, right? The debrief always consisted of, okay, you know, Adrian, let's go over your packet. Tell me what happened on your house calls. Tell me what happened on your phone banks. This is all right here in the computer. No need for packets anymore. No need for going over anything. This activity stream really highlights what happened that night or what's happening that week or whatever. So this is a great debrief tool. This is a great tool to help remind yourself if you need to go back and change something or fix something, or, you know, who was that guy I talked to last night? And you can go back and look and add information. Awesome tool for debriefs. You can filter all this data too. How many assessments were updated in the month of June? How many house calls did we make? How many phone bank? How many attempts did we make? Stuff like that. It's just a running history of everything going on in your campaign, any kind of updates that you have. And this is available to all users, whether they're activists, just you want to give them a little bit of access to it, or all the way up to your leads and admins. Everybody can see this. This is just a helpful tool. So you can save your queries too when you're building this stuff to try to figure out what you want to see. Instead of going through the query tool every time and clicking, I want to see just the county, Harris County, and only journeyman and master electricians. Instead of going through the process, you can do it one time, save that query, and then load it up anytime you want and quickly get to what you're looking for. Like I said, Action Builder has built something for organizers that was helped, you know, all the ideas were input from organizers, and we wanted to make it as smooth as possible. And they gave us a tool that really says, you know, we need this for debriefing, we need this for filtering, we need this for whatever, and it's there. It's all here to make your job easier. So next level, we talked about where we were before, like with Linda, all those 1,200 sheets of paper. Now she's having to hand enter everything. Now we're in using Action Builder Live for job site tracking, for house calling, for phone banking. When we have a big crew out house calling, they're entering the data. It's real time. There's no updating anything. It's all updated as they do it, right? So next level. Action Builder kind of speaks for itself. As Jen and I were helping train our leaders and supervision out in the field, it kind of spoke for itself. It's kind of like we filled a void to where they needed something and they loved it, they ran with it, and they're using it on a daily basis. Next level stuff is like We Power America and the lineman, unionlineman.com. So this is two of our websites on the construction side that We Power America, if somebody goes and says electrician jobs in Washington, DC, or electrician jobs in Seattle, Washington, they can Google it and it's gonna hopefully pull up We Power America. And when they go through, that's telling them a little bit about the IBEW. And it's We Power North America. It's Canada and the US. US is, of course, We Power America, and We Power North America is for Canada. But when you go through and you click apply, we talk about on that website, we have all these unfilled calls. We can put you to work, better wages, better benefits, click here to apply. All that information, every time somebody applies, is now going into Action Builder. all that information, when somebody is a lineman or an apprentice lineman, or say somebody is getting out of high school and wants to be a lineman, and they Google, want to be a lineman, when they apply here to the IBEWUnionLineman.com, all of that information, that name, address, phone number, work level experience, they can go through and check off, 40 different bullet points on their work experience: pipe bending, conduit, residential, commercial, industrial. Every single piece of that information is now getting uploaded to Action Builder. And the reason we started doing that was because Action Builder is this shared data, right? This shared information of great workers and experienced workers and inexperienced workers that can be shared across the country and across Canada. So if I'm in Washington, D.C., and I apply, next thing I know, I click submit, I'm going to have the local organizer from Washington, D.C. calling me from the IBEW. If I click that I'm willing to travel to Richmond, Virginia, or Los Angeles, California, or New York, that organizer is going to get pinged. And so now that organizer from across the country is going to get pinged, and he can now call me also. So all of our organizers across the US and Canada have access to this We Power America and Action Builder, and they are going, it's a shared database, and they are going to go in there and start calling workers, contacting workers, depending on their work needs and their work picture in their local jurisdiction. Everything's updated real time. So if the organizer from Los Angeles talks to Adrian, and Adrian is going out there to join, and he's moving with his family, and that's why he's applying there, if the guy from Local 26 or the organizer from Local 26 logs in, he sees the conversation that organizer has put in there saying his family is moving, whatever. And so everybody's on the same page. There's no double calling somebody. I've already talked to an organizer. It's all done in real time. It's all shared across the same page. So that's what we're doing as far as the next level organizing. Jen, you got something?
Yeah, I would just add, it's been really great for the internal organizing again, because now we also have the ability to list scrub so much easier. Once you get your initial upload in there of your employee list, and, say your collective bargaining agreement provides for, a monthly employee list, or maybe it's, 3 months or 6 months, whatever it might be. Once we get that new list, we use another application or software called Whoop-de-Doop. So that has been really great to just scrub the list and see, okay, did we have new hires come in? Maybe you don't have a section in your agreement that provides for new employee orientation time. Well, once you get that new worker list, you see, who's been added, who's been hired. Okay, let's go have conversations with those individuals now. So it just provides for a much easier process of scrubbing those lists, seeing who may have left, employer, who's come on, and then again, creating assignments for any volunteer organizing committee members in the field to then go have those conversations, track the outcome of those conversations within Action Builder, and you're off to the races, and you're maintaining your list, and you could answer very easily, by just looking at your device, who's been talked to, approached about membership, refused membership, accepted membership, whatever it might be. And I just really would emphasize that the saved query tool has also been really great, because again, it's just running the numbers, and you can get a very clear shot of your membership, or even, percentages of membership, or where you may be lacking support very quickly without having to go through, check things on and off. And then the other thing for next level organizing we're really excited about exploring is the integration between Action Network and Action Builder. So there's some really cool things that the Action Builder team has shared with us that provides for mass communication via email messaging, text messaging. There's different forms like petition signing you can do, events and actions, and these two systems will start talking to each other. So, any affiliates or organizations out there that want to use the tool, people take an action or sign a petition, it could automatically upload that information into Action Builder, and you can see that and filter that information. So that's super next level, something we are definitely looking at and interested in. I would say that a lot of feedback that we've gotten from our organizers in the field as well, especially with just having it, in their hands and their devices, they may go to some meeting, across town or travel, and they find, oh, I have some unorganized shops I can go visit, and talk to folks. So it's like they didn't even plan to, do visits or have one-on-one conversations, but they found that, there's maybe workers, contractors that are in the area that they're visiting. So you're just working so much smarter, and, hearing that information and being that this is a collaborative process, I think is super great and awesome. And there's some kind of new technology rolling out, I would say at least on a monthly basis, it seems.
And I also want to add, since we do have a few minutes, one of the things we started kind of dipping our toe in as far as next level organizing is what we're doing with what we call multi-jurisdictional contractors. So this is something new to us. This is also next level type stuff, but we see that it's working. So we are going to start rolling this out even more. Just an example of that multi-jurisdictional contractor is a big corporation, Berg Electric. Berg Electric is from the West Coast to the East Coast. It's a big electrical contractor. They are a low road contractor. They exploit their workers. They pay their workers a very low wage. They make them pay for their own insurance. The list goes on and on. They underbid our union contractors a lot, and we lose a lot of work to them. The old school way was local 1, 2, 3 would be going after them in their jurisdiction. And the next city over, the next state over, they might not even know anything about that campaign or know what's going on. Nowadays, since we made this a multi-jurisdictional contractor and gave all of our organizers across the country access to this Berg Electric campaign, now it's a more coordinated effort. Berg Electric used to see that local 1, 2, 3, the IBEW organizers were walking the job sites. They were phone banking. They were house calling their electricians, and they were stealing those workers away. Well, they would send in the union busters. They would give people raises in that one particular city or one particular jurisdiction and kind of quell the union movement, the union talking there. Well, now with this coordinated effort we're doing from Seattle, Washington, down to Orlando, Florida, we know of the job sites, and we had all of our organizers input job sites for Berg Electric into Action Builder, and we got all that stuff uploaded. We got all the names uploaded, and what we've started doing is we started doing coordinated job visits, contractor visits, house calling, and phone banking to the job sites and workers at the same time. A couple of weeks ago, we had on a Friday morning a big coordinated effort, and all of our organizers from Seattle, Washington, down to Southern California, across Texas, and to Orlando, Florida, hit the job site at the same time that morning. Flyered the job site, talked to workers. They started calling workers, started messaging them through social media, emailing them. The contractor now knows the IBEW is serious about organizing their employees, and they see that we are coordinated, not just in Seattle, not just in Orlando, not just in Austin, Texas, or Houston, Texas. At the same time, all these different cities and organizers hit the job site, and the shop and it's gotten all the way up to the CEO and president. They are just up in arms about how coordinated the union movement is now at their company. So that's just something that we're doing as far as next level. Same thing with a few other these big solar farms. These big solar farms are just exploding as far as work goes across the country, and we're having a hard time manning them. So this is helping us to a coordinated nationwide effort to go and hit these workers and hit these contractors. And that's something we're barely starting, but we see it's working. We see the reaction we're getting from the company. If a company goes into one city and gives everybody there a $2 raise just because they know that the IBEW is talking to their workers, they just walk in and give everybody a $2 raise just to try to quiet the IBEW. We know we're hitting them where it hurts. We're stealing workers left and right on a super coordinated effort. So that's just something that we're dipping our toe into, and it's exciting, and we're going to see what happens out of that. So anything else before we move on? Do we have any questions?
I think we can open up for questions.
Okay, we're ready for questions. Jeff and Martha, do we have anything?
We do. We have a couple of questions. So one question is from Matthew. Who has access to this information after it is inputted other than the local who put the info in?
That would be anybody who the lead on the campaign is. If I'm a local union organizer, and the way our structure is built, I would have a coordinator. Jen has leads and we have state coordinators. So the state coordinator or the lead would help the local union get this campaign in. And then you can choose who you want to have access. A lot of times, like with BG&E, right? A lot of organizers came in to help out. So if we had Action Builder at the time, we would give them access for them to be able to input information. The way it works on the construction side is that local organizer, when the neighboring cities come in to help do a job blitz or a contractor blitz or something, he will temporarily give the organizers from the neighboring jurisdiction access to his list, and then you can turn that back off if you want. So it's all up to you. It's all up to who you want.
Yeah, it's definitely based on personal needs of the local union or campaign. At the international office in Washington, D.C., our membership development team, obviously we have the admin access. So, we can, see the campaigns. We don't change anything, update anything on campaigns, but we do help with the administrative piece and user access. So, if we do have a business manager, for example, that advises, that somebody doesn't need particular access, there's been a change in staff, whatever the case is, like Adrian said, we can disable accounts, we reset accounts when needed as well. But our membership development team that's out in the field is really the liaison between the local unions and us at the international office, and all administration, uploading of campaigns, creation of campaigns, and even, coordinating and facilitation for the training pieces that we do for the local unions as well.
Love it. Yeah, and just a quick clarification too, no other union has access to IBEW's data.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Correct.
Another question, we have Mike, Local 265. Can we make a running list of active jobs that can be updated on a weekly or monthly basis instead of having to make a new task every time?
Yes, I mean, the task that's just something that you would do for yourself. Like, say I have a job site list, I can filter my job site list by a certain contractor, a certain low road contractor, for example, Berg Electric. I can filter that in my jurisdiction for Berg Electric, and I can hit those job sites. But that job site list is a running list, a live list of contractors, of information workers, whatever. I can go through it and daily, if I wanted to, go visit a job site, update the information, how many electricians are on that job, who's the general contractor, stuff like that. So this is all a running list of what you have going on in your jurisdiction.
Love it, love it. I have a question from William. Once a worker or company is organized, can this Action Builder platform for the data that is entered sync up with the IBEW per cap reports?
Not yet. No, not yet. And I don't know if we'll ever integrate that. This is strictly for organizing. So I know some affiliates might be thinking about doing that. So for us, we're just strictly organizing.
But we don't know where, API and technology can take us, because we've come such a long way since, even January of 2019. So who knows?
I mean, how cool would that be? You know, we organized them, we signed them up, and bam, you know, that information gets ported over to the per capita stuff. That would be awesome.
I love it. I love these new ideas that are percolating up. Here's another new idea from Matthew. What about a section for union busters, photos and bios and tactics that we can coordinate and we could reference and say, he, Mike Smith, is in the Philadelphia Union Busting a company. It's just a suggestion, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
That is something we can do with the entities update that has rolled out. So, you know, like we were showing earlier with the different mapping features, you can see job sites, you can see individual workers and where they live, but we could definitely even create a whole list of, you know, union busters and kind of tag them with what organizing campaigns that they're part of. It's just, again, planning how this would all work, who would have access, you know, to seeing something like that. But that is something, you know, we would also, you know, be willing to talk through with any local unions at IBEW.
Lots of enthusiasm for that idea in the chat. How often do you purge the list for certified electricians in California? A specific question.
So I think we were going to do that once a year. The electrician list in California is humongous. And we pulled that information last year through FOIA, the Freedom of Information Act, and we got all of that uploaded into Action Builder. I think it was something like 40-something thousand people that we had to go through and separate it out by local jurisdiction. And now that's coming up. That's an issue. People move. People upgrade from apprentice to journeyman, from journeyman to masters. So I think once a year we can do that. Other smaller jurisdictions, every 6 months maybe. We had one of our organizers want to do it weekly. He wanted to purge his job permit list and electrician list weekly, which is understandable, but it's just a little bit of a task depending on the side. So at least once a year for California.
Love it, love it. Feel free to drop more questions in the Q&A and chat, everyone. One question I have for both of you, Adrian, Jennifer, I think it can be hard for maybe people to wrap their heads around the sort of scale at which you're operating. So if you could just walk people through, you know, it's how many people are the admins for Action Builder for IBEW, and then how does it sort of cascade down with just like a rough idea of the numbers for both P&I and construction?
Okay.
We actually just pulled that information today, so this is perfect.
Gene and I just did that before this. We were like, hey, curious, let's see what we got. So right now we have 418 active lists and campaigns in Action Builder. That includes all of the P&I targets, electricians, linemen, contractors, job sites. We have just under 750 users using the campaign. I don't know how many thousands, tens of thousands of targets. Like I said, California was 40,000, I think, just in itself. And since then, I know myself have uploaded probably 8 or 9 different states, Montana, Idaho, Vermont, New Hampshire. I'm getting ready to do New York State, Michigan, Minnesota. So, and they'd rather do that. So that scale, the number there, maybe you could find it for us, Martha. I'd be curious too about how many actual targets we have, but I think now it's past hundreds of thousands of targets. And the scale that we're using it that way, like I said earlier, it kind of snowballed on us. We never knew it would take off so fast once we presented it, but people saw the old way of packets and printing out maps and people filling out, here's your script, fill it out, turn it back in. Okay, now let me hand enter everything. Once they figured out this is all done by the time the house callers or the phone makers, when they say they're done, all that data is already inputted. I mean, it just kind of spoke for itself. And we have locals across the country and Canada using it now.
And even just with like the rollouts and enhancements and technology updates, you know, there may be locals that find a cool feature that they're into now that's like really made them want to explore and, you know, set up a campaign in here. So I'm sure we'll continue to see that because the technology just keeps on improving. So
Thanks to your input. So appreciate your participation in these development tables. And just something I want to flag for everybody, you've got hundreds of thousands of workers in Action Builder, and it's really like the two of you who are maintaining the tool for IBEW plus Bridget. So just want to say, like, that's an amazing example of using this tool at scale. We have a question from William. How would this platform sync with locals that use Indeed as a tool for members? I'm not super familiar with Indeed.
We've actually been using that a lot, William. We are using Indeed a lot. We pull that information that we get from Indeed, and we can pull that out into a spreadsheet and upload that information into Action Builder. And then those are targets. That's something our organizers can go through and start hitting. And with Indeed, and I think LinkedIn, there's something called a recruiter level status. And so this is all part of the next level organizing. We're gonna figure out how to pay, whether it's us and the Contractors Association, NECA, National Electrical Contractors Association, pay for what's called a recruiter status. And that's thousands of dollars a year, but you can pull so much information from LinkedIn or Indeed and all this stuff going on that we can now import over to Action Builder and start targeting them that way.
This one last question. How did you roll the tool out? It seems like a tough task from Matthew.
Well, slowly. Initially, I mentioned at the kind of more close to the beginning of the presentation, we really just started with a small training with our regional organizing coordinators and our district organizing coordinators. We kind of created a quick fake campaign, printed out some little sheets of paper of some different table exercises for them to do, creating a profile, changing an assessment, things like that. And really just throughout and after that, it's just been trying to squeeze in where we can at different IBEW meetings and conferences. And again, it's been our membership development team out in the field that's been also having conversations with the local unions about, what this tool does. And then from there, just, having specific district organizing Zoom conference meetings where we're sharing the tool, and then those individualized one-on-one trainings, but kind of one local at a time, I'd say.
Yeah, once you get it in their hands and set up, like Jen said, that Chicago fake campaign, once you get somebody in there and seeing how easy it is to add assessments or add notes or add classifications or whatever to that campaign, they see how easy it is. It just kind of speaks for itself after that. And then they're going to say, okay, give me training. How do I do this? How do I do this? And me and Jen step in and do some more trainings and let it take off on its own.
Love it. That wraps the Q&A. Adrian, Jennifer, thank you so informative, fantastic. We're getting some great thank yous in the chat as well. And a heads up, everyone, I dropped the link and there's a couple different times in there, and I'm dropping it again for our next session. But you can hear more from Jennifer in our closing panel this afternoon at 4 p.m. Eastern. This isn't the last you'll see of them. And thank you again, Adrian and Jennifer. We'll see you in the next session. Thanks all.